What's going on, everybody? You are tuned in to the Hot List. I come to y'all around 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. We hang out and we talk real estate topics. I answer questions, concerns, and any other topics that you have during the question of the day. Now, the question of the day segment is a question that is often asked or submitted by a viewer of the podcast or past and current clients that I have helped as well. And if you're interested in getting your question answered, all you got to do is shoot me a message either here on Facebook or drop it in the comments on your podcast player of choice. Now, with the question that you answer, I will not only, or question that you ask, I will not only answer that for you, I will then use that for future video content and episodes just like this one. I highly encourage anybody that has a question about real estate and you're not sure where to start. I would be happy to be the real estate resource that you reach out to start with because, like I said, I can get that question answered for you and use that for future episodes. Because if you have that question, guarantee somebody else has that question or similar question, and I would love to help everybody out. For those of you that that are tuning in, whether you're catching this live on the replay, in the description, I have included a link to Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. You can subscribe there, catch up on previous episodes, and make sure that you subscribe so as new episodes come out, you'll be notified. They will automatically be downloaded to your podcast player of choice. Now, I love the question of the day. A lot of times they are questions that I have had experience with. If they are not, then what I do is I speak with a professional or do some research to find some information to answer that question as best as possible. Now, these questions generally are not in-depth questions. They just begin to scratch the surface so people can get a good start and then springboard from episodes like this into further in-depth scenarios and situations. So, the question of the day today, how do I control pests in cold weather? I'm sure most of us have dealt with this. I actually deal with this year round, having a garage as well as a shed and a basement. So if you or somebody you know is having an issue with this, make sure you like, share, send this out, tag them in it, get it to them however you can, and make sure that they listen to it because we're going to talk about 3 actions to take to avoid pests in the winter. And unfortunately, like I mentioned, this is a all too real scenario for a lot of homeowners as temperatures start to drop. All the critters, the creepy crawlies, look for somewhere that's warm and dry to hang out. You combine that with a readily available source of food, and your home looks pretty appealing to rodents and creepy crawlies. Generally, this tends to get worse the colder it gets. Obviously, nobody wants to share their home with pests, especially ones that aren't going to chip in and are just going to freeload, right? There are steps that you can take to help keep your home pest free or at least reduce the amount of pests that are looking for a safe haven. Not to mention some professional services that are available as well. So, the question of the day again, how do I control pests in the cold weather? Today, we're going to talk about 3 actions that you can take to avoid pests in the winter. Excuse me. Number 1, preventing pests. I know it's cold out right now. Well, I guess depending on where you live in the wintertime and you're hearing this. One of the things that can be done to help control unwanted pests in cold weather is preventative maintenance. So with this, what you want to do is go through your home and search for signs of damage or weak points that rodents, insects, or other crawlies might use as an entry point. Once you locate these entry points, you want to either block them off or fill them in. So by doing this is going to close that avenue of anything that's going to be using it to get in and out. If you think you already have some critters, maybe in the attic, eaves, or other places in your home, there's still steps that you can take before they get comfortable, bed down, and start making babies. One of the items that works extremely well, of course, depending on the style of house, are excluders. These are one-way doors that you can install over holes or other areas where your critters or crawlies are getting in and out to feed. And by doing this and covering them, this allows any type of bats, mice, rats, or other pests to leave your home to eat. But when they come back, they find that that doorway is blocked and they've got to locate another place to call home. And that's a great way to get rid of them. Number 2 on the list, baits, traps, and other measures. This is generally what we as homeowners or renters think about and are most popular when it comes to some type of excuse me, some type of countermeasure for pests. If preventative maintenance hasn't worked, or maybe it's too late, then the next step is your countermeasures. So pests are already in the home, closing off the entry points doesn't seem to be working. It's time for a more permanent measure to rid out those pests. There's a variety of baits, traps, poisons, or other solutions. And obviously, depending on the type of pests that you have, will determine what you use, because this will either kill the pest or allow you to capture the pest alive and take them elsewhere for release. Just as a quick caution and the don't sue me section, when you use baits, traps, or poison, it's important to really be safe and cautious about the placements. If you have small pets or children, make sure that you're going to be placing these in areas where those pests will have access, but your loved ones, like your children and your pets, will not. Also, make sure that you read what type of poison or bait that you choose. Depending on the type, may cause harm or illness to your pets if they find whatever is stuck to that or eaten that. Typically, the desiccant based traps and baits are usually the safest options. Those are just the silica based baggies. Oh, sorry. I don't know what's going on today. Those are usually the safest option with pets and children. So, as a beginner, maybe you have tried option 1 with the preventative measures of filling or blocking, and you've moved on to the baits and traps, and they're still not working, and you still have some freeloading pests that are in your home. Well, that brings us to option number 3, call in a professional. I've had to do this myself, and If you've tried the other two options and nothing seems to be working, there's no shame in calling in a professional. I actually have a company that comes and treats my house every quarter. So all 4 quarters year round, they are treating my house for some type of insects, rodents, or any other pest. And whether it's an exterminator or animal control, these professionals are not only going to have the proper equipment to get the pests out of your home, they're going to have a number of years of experience with ridding out even the most dug in critter. So they may know the best route to go for bats or squirrels or possums. I've heard all of this. I've even heard about rats. So if you're not gaining any ground or the critters just seem to still be coming or multiplying, you need to call in a professional before it's too late. They're going to be able to help with the most frustrating invasion that you may have, and even have the resources to handle uncommon occurrences, maybe something against your foundation like groundhogs or moles, uh, maybe something in your attic like squirrels, raccoons, rats, or any other pest that is taking an interest in your home or foundation that you need to get gone and get rid of them. If you're not sure where to start, uh, please feel free to reach out to me, especially if you are live in the area that I live in. I have a 5-star vendor list of companies and professionals that it's a live list. I continually update and add as well as remove companies. These are companies that have provided a 5-star service, not just to me, but to clients, family, and friends that I trust as well. So if it's time to call in a professional, you're not sure who to start with, please feel free to reach out to me. I would be happy to share that list with you because I that is a free service that I offer. There's no charge for that, and it is a live list that is continually being updated. So just to recap again for 3 actions that you can take to avoid pests in the wintertime. Number one, preventing the pests. If you can jump on this sooner rather than later and start to do preventative maintenance when the weather is nicer, the chance that you have those intruding pests come cold weather time is going to be reduced. One of the most popular items for covering some type of holes or access point is a little device called an excluder. These are one-way doors that the pests can go out to search for food around your house. When they try to get back in, since it's one way, they're not going to be allowed back in and they have to find somewhere else to set up camp. Number two, typically the more popular option, some type of baits, traps, or other measures. Uh, if they're already in there and the excluders aren't working, put out some type of bait, trap, or poison. Again, just a caution with this is the don't sue me portion. When you use one of these options, make sure you are aware about placement because if you have pets or small children, make sure that you put these in an area that they're not going to have access to, and do your research when especially getting some type of poison. If you have dogs or cats especially and they find something dead, I'm sure your dogs are just like mine. Whatever is dead, they're going to want to eat it. That's hopefully you don't, but that's what my dogs do. And finally, number three, if Options 1 and 2 are not working. There's no shame in calling a professional. I highly recommend doing this, calling in a professional sooner rather than later, just because they have the equipment, they have the knowledge, they have the experience to remedy all of this. And before it escalates to the point that you've got like a 7-foot beehive or honeycomb in one of your walls, yes, that's a true story. Call the professionals and get your pests ridden out. That is going to wrap it up for me today in the hot list. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget, I have included links in the description for Apple Podcast as well as Spotify to catch up on previous episodes of the hot list. Like, subscribe, so you get notifications when new episodes become available and they're downloaded to your podcast player of choice. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, I'm your host, Matt Johnson with Keller Williams Realty, and I do this because your experience matters and should be trusted with a veteran. Y'all have a phenomenal Monday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.